Okay, so this is going to be a demonstration of inserting an expansion screw, preformed expansion screw, into an appliance onto the model, and this is just trying to show you how you do it. So first of all, these expansion screws come with a nylon covering which covers all the actual mechanism that activates the screw. We don't need all of this. They always add too much on. You see there's two sections. There's a top, which is the long bit, and there's a shorter part underneath. Now we're going to position this on the model in the center of the pallet, right bang, smack bang on the suture there. Okay, and we're going to keep it nice and vertically positioned so that the forces are applied perpendicular to that. We don't want it leaning over one way or the other, otherwise the actual appliance may get lifted off on the wrong side. And we obviously don't want it twisted with regards to its position on the center of the pallet. We want it in the middle, centrally, so that it actually expands in the way we want, not off at an angle. Okay, so the actual screw here has got too much nylon at the bottom, so what we're going to do is we're just going to cut this off. So get your pliers, your Morn cutters, and push right up until the Morn cutters contact the metal pins, and then just cut straight through. So we cut that right off. Now that goes much shorter. That then allows us to fit this screw right down in the middle onto our pallet. Now you may find that there's some asymmetry to your pallet, and that's easily resolved because the pins on these screws move back and forwards. If you see these little retention pins, I can move these. These are there just for us to actually tip back and forth. Okay, so to move, to allow ourselves to position the screw where we want it. So I can balance those up. And I'm going to put the screw into the middle of the pallet. Then I'm going to sit it just about in line with the 5s. So it's just in line here, okay, with the 5s, mesial of the 6s. And what I want to do is just stick this on using some wax. So I just put some really hot wax down the middle of the pallet. Nice and hot. I've already put separating material on here so the acrylic won't stick, and then I just add a little bit of wax underneath the nylon and then just attach those two together. And I push that in there until the wax is cooled. Let's join together, and there's our screw. So it's centrally positioned, it's vertical, and it's stuck in place. Now we need to add the acrylic. Ignore me, right? Right, we just need to make sure that all the acrylic, all the powder goes right underneath this screw. So tap lots of polymer, pour lots of polymer onto there, and then just tap it to make sure it goes right underneath.
Is it for the patient?
No.
Yeah. For you?
No.
No, definitely mine.
Part-time student.
Okay.
So I'm going to saturate all that polymer now, so I'm going to really let as much monomer on here as I can and let it sit there, okay? Let it sit for a while to allow the polymer to actually saturate its way through all the polymer particles. What we don't want is dry polymer particles underneath this screw.
Yeah.
Can I just point something out?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to have that all the way up there.
It's not on. And it's not on.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have the fun part. We've just cured this now, so the acrylic is all cured, and I've just boiled this off. So now we're ready to release it from the model. So just take a blade and release the suction underneath there. Okay, we don't need to lever it by the crib because that's going to distort the crib. So just try and ease the appliance off gently. There's very little undercuts on this to show. And then if we look underneath here, okay, hopefully you can see this. What we've got is a complete surrounding of acrylic, all polymerized acrylic, so there's no white dusty areas of uncured or unsaturated acrylic. All we've got is the wax that we use, a little bit of the remnants of the wax there that we had to stick the expansion screw in place. And now we're going to do the fun bit. Okay, so what we do now is you take the appliance and you hold, or just grab the actual, you just grab the nylon bit with something, pliers or your cutters or whatever, just hold it, and then we're just going to pull the two apart. Okay, and what you'll see is that it should just pull out from each other because it's only nylon. Okay, the acrylic that we use is much tougher, so it stretches. You can see it's all stretched and moved out of place, and then we just catch it again. So I'm just using these pliers to hold this and just rip it out. Okay, if it doesn't come out, just cut it off there. Now that frees up all the middle or the central part of the screw here, where we're going to add the actual where the key is going to go in. So this is where the key will fit in there. So that's why that nylon is there, is to allow us to put the key in to activate it. Now we can't do anything with this yet because we still need to section it and fit it. So what I'm going to do now is put this back on the model and then trim it to fit, and then we'll remove the rest of the nylon. And we cut right through till it's completely exposed, and then if we take the key and we turn the key 1, 2, 3, 4 turns, that's 4 turns, a 1/4 millimetre a turn, that's a millimetre opening now, and at some point during that sewing stage the little pink bit of nylon that was down there has gone. So that's how we separate. So there was 4 turns opening, so I'm going to just turn it 4 turns back. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're back in the closed position, and then we just pumice and polish this as normal. That way you get a clean cut straight down the centre of the appliance. Okay, you can see the cut there. Right the way through with no wiggly lines. What some people tend to do or try to do is to cut it from the vertical surface, so they cut it like this, but what happens is the saw ends up going all the way down in a wiggly line. So if you cut it as flat as you can, you go through the thinnest part in one section rather than trying to cut through a whole length of the appliance. So we cut it through that way rather than cutting through that way. Okay, so here we have the piece processed and trimmed to the sandpaper stage. All the collets have been trimmed correctly, all the occlusal surfaces are exposed, and we've got the correct extension anteriorly and posteriorly. Now we're actually going to separate the midline to allow this to actually expand. So we do this by taking off the model, draw a line on there, then take a fret saw and then fret. So we're going to cut this quite flat like this. Okay, so we're going to cut it from that angle along. So just take hold of it, and then we just cut through. Once it starts to bite, There we go. Cut through until we get right through to the centre. So that's the anterior part done. Sorry, the posterior part done, and then the anterior part. So it's easier if you hold it quite close to your chest, but for camera purposes, I'm holding it here. I'll just turn it around so you can get a better view of what I'm doing. In fact, I'm just going to stop a minute.